A SOUQ morning to you, a SOUQ morning to you, and one more time for the third time, a SOUQ morning to you and yours. Welcome to SOUQ News Television. I am Hans Mbah. This is SOUQ News Television, and we welcome you to our maiden show for the day, SOUQ Business Landscape. Here we take a look at headlines that the world is discussing from business publications from continent to continent, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. As we do this together here on the show, remember to take it outside with us as we continue engagement online with the hashtag SBL. For all the news, juice, and sauce, you should follow us at SOUQ News Television, SOUQ News TV, and the Isle 104.9 FM across all social media. Go get a cup of coffee or tea, as the case may be. A quick break calls. When we return, we shall delve in. Let's do that. Welcome back. We begin with Business Day in Nigeria. Nigeria raises over $900 million in first domestic dollar bond. It records 180% subscription rates. FG ready to leverage capital markets for growth, says DMO. And I will introduce my special guest this morning, as usual, that brings us insightful issues that would help us bring understanding and paint a good picture with these headlines. It's none other than Doc Osamhanze. Welcome to the show.
Hans, good morning. Great Nigeria. Good SOUQ. Beautiful Africa.
Yes. I tried to do new things on the show. So I made them feel like I was by myself. So I could see faces in my mind looking sad that like, oh my goodness, Doc is not here this morning. He is here. All right, so Doc, we're talking about $900 million domestic dollar bond, Nigeria.
Oh, this is massive. Just a little over a week. It also shows what creativity and innovation can do.
How so?
In terms of driving economic growth and prosperity. So what CBN done is to look at unorthodox ways of solving problems and said, okay, well, people are hedging currencies in dollars, so why don't we also float it? Of course, a lot of people in Nigeria have been investing in dollar. If you check some of the applications that or they're doing trading, you find that people trade in currency. So what government has done is that, oh, yeah, we can actually also float a bond, not just in Naira, but in dollar. And this rake in some dollars. And what that will mean is that when this is done consistently, the pressure of dollar will reduce because you have a lot of people who are willing to invest dollar. 900 million is a whole lot, as
it's a lot.
You out of 1 billion US dollars. So for me, it's a nice development, and I think it's a creative way of dealing with issues. No doubt that we are beginning to realize and recognize that the source of prosperity for any nation actually is in their capital market. When you're talking about prosperity in America, you're talking about Wall Street.
Yes, correct.
The New York Exchange, the London Stock Exchange. That's all you hear, because that's where the real deal is.
Correct.
But unfortunately, when you come to Nigeria, for example, you're looking at SOUQ. Rather than turning our face to the stock markets and see what's happening in the capital market. So people make money in the market, not in government house. So nobody really talks about Washington, D.C. because what they are looking out from Washington, D.C. is policies that will enhance and enable the market to function. And as the market is functioning, trading is going on, people are making some cool cash, putting in their pockets. Some people are making loss, and then they are strategizing, making more money. They are creating a lot of wealth, and then these things start to spread. But unfortunately, in Africa, We have so zeroed on government that what everybody is looking out for is the budget of federal government. And I have tried as much as possible to explain to people. Now, when you look at the global GDP of Nigeria, for example, 450 billion US dollar economy. Out of that $450 billion economy, only 24% of it is in government hands. The other is in the capital market.
In Nigeria.
And some of them in the informal sector. So why don't we create an enabling environment to allow that market to grow so that a lot of people can participate in the market? And then we begin to have benefits all around. So this is what economists are doing. And I think this is where we should be heading toward, so that we stop this handout that is coming from government from day to day in the name of palliative or social interventions. And people really know to do businesses. And you are seeing that if your business is doing and you are listing in the stock market, what you are doing, you are raising funds, you are expanding, you are creating employment, you are redistributing wealth for the nation. So for me, it's a positive development that the federal government is looking toward the capital market, giving it the right environment for it to really blossom. Because as it is right now, really, Nigerian capital market is the best in the world by all the rating that has been released in recent times.
Really?
Oh, yes, we are making more money than any country in the world.
Why are people complaining that there's no money to get involved, even in a thing such as the dollar bond being raised?
Yeah, but of course, you know, this is an instrument. If you are not able to do dollar bond, you can do naira bond. If you cannot do naira bond, you can go into the stocks.
Okay.
Or you can even go into the agric sector. As people are preparing now, you see a lot of agric products are all there in the environment that people can key into. And at the end of the day, at the end of the year, whether it is 12%, whether it is 5%, whether it's 9% or 16%, as the case may be, you know that at least your money is working for you. And that's really when you are wealthy.
True. Let's join the federal government to leverage capital markets for growth. Corporate tax revenue jumps 131% on FG's drive. So you could catch this on page 28 of the business day. Doc, corporate tax revenue going up.
Yeah, what that means is that, of course, some of the loopholes are being closed.
Really?
Oh, yes, that's what it means. You see, a lot of the tax net is catching up with a lot of corporations, and things are being tidied out. And I think that's where really we need to go, where there's transparency so much in our systems. And when that transparency is there in system, then government can do what they are best fit to do. I said to people, I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday, and they were talking from the UK, and he was saying to me, oh, you know, our government, and I asked, what's the business of government of UK? Except to collect tax and spend it. That's the business of every government in the world.
And use it adequately. If you say spend it,
well, they spend it, whether it's adequate or what it is. So, it depends on how you will define the adequacy. So, but the issue is really that government collects tax, levy rates from people. That's the business of government. And they take part of it to settle themselves and use the other part to build some infrastructures and put them in place. Now, when the government is not receiving enough tax from the system, it cannot do so much. So, the government needs the tax revenue. But when you look at our tax to population ratio, you know that we are not doing excellently well. Because a lot of people are not paying tax. That's what it means. Only very few people do. And most of the tax that is paid in this environment is probably the informal tax that comes in indirect taxes, VAT here and there. So what this means is that government now have to plug all the loopholes. And this is when businesses are connected to the government infrastructure, where we can actually see on a real time what everybody is doing. And I think that's what IFRS must be doing at the moment, really integrating the entire system so that when anybody is making profit, you can't hide it from government.
And your tax
And government can see it, and the tax is seen. You just imagine that this is happening everywhere in the world. I was reading yesterday which country, and they say, oh, Apple is fined $30 billion after a court judgment.
It's on the news, actually. We're going to get to that.
So you see, these are the thing, and this is what government does everywhere. So when company have infraction, we find them, and we have more money. Then we can build bigger roads.
Right.
We can invest in rail system.
Right.
We can build good schools. Our hospital can become functional. So these are things that we must do, and do them very well, and so that we can actually have oversight on what corporations are doing, because there are a lot of corporations whose corporate governance is poor, and money is hidden from government tax. And so you see big corporations declaring losses. But if you go to check their books, you see profligacy in it. Because all these things are used to hide government money. And then, of course, we come back again to blame the same government for not performing. So I just feel that those who are regulators in Nigeria must do well to oversight businesses and ensure that more businesses are captured in the tax net. Right. That's the only way we can get the infrastructure that we are all craving for, and then bridge the gap that is so wide, as they say.
Okay. So this headline is piggybacked off The Economist by Business Day. It says, if Nigeria cannot end fuel shortages, disaster beckons. This is from The Economist. And Business Day is bringing it to us. How do you speak to this? Because it's really bad. There are queues everywhere. Then the queues, I notice, have kind of reduced because people cannot afford to pay 800, 900, in some cases 1,100. What are we going to do about this, though? How is it looking? How's the near future looking?
You see, for me, I think it's
many say it's going to get to 1,200.
Oh yeah, but that is what it is really, because as analysts have said, the landing cost of petrol as of today is actually 1,100.
How does it go up so quickly when we're supposed to be it's supposed to be going down?
No, you say when you say something is great, people must. This is where those who speak for government must be able to communicate themselves very well.
That's key.
Now, when the government came and he said, "Look, government is not going to pay the difference between the landing cost of petrol and the selling price,"
which is subsidy.
That's what we call the subsidy, the difference. Petrol is landing at 1,100. The maximum government can do is to ensure that the profit margin of those who are selling, whether it's NNPCL or other independent marketers who are playing in the downstream, in the upstream, downstream or the upstream, you tell them, okay, you can't go beyond this margin of profit because of the nature of our economy. But you cannot continue to underwrite the gap. So what government is doing consistently is underwriting the differences. So it's easier to calculate what inputs are coming into petrol. Now, we are not yet able to refine. All of us know that reality. Okay, so we look at the pricing templates. There are other few things government can do, especially now that we have a Dangote refinery. We can also enter into an agreement with a Dangote refinery. The law allowed that about 450,000 barrels per day for NNPC to process to refine and sell to the public. We can decide to say, Dangote, please, we have these 450,000 barrels. Help us refine it, and then we can give you value for production, and then we can sell.
Now, when we sell, will it be at the cost that is ongoing or the anticipated cost?
No, of course, pricing is a factor of your inputs that get into what you're doing. So you look at it, what is Dangote giving to you, for example, to refine the crude for you? Now, what's your overhead coming into it? What are the taxes of government that are coming into it? So you look at all this, and you can fix and determine your price. So that will determine whether the price will be going now or not. So, but those arrangements we can make internally. But if we don't have a Dangote to agree to such arrangement, we can determine to tell Nigerians, this is where we are buying our petrol from. This is the cost of a liter. This is the cost of transportation to get in here. This is what custom gets in terms of clearance. This is the cost of transportation from the farm, tank farm, to the nozzle. And this is the margin of the seller. So everybody is synced on the same page. Since we said that we want the pricing to float, the minimum we can do is to allow that dynamism in the market. What is this dynamism? If exchange rate is going down, or the price of crude in the international market is going down, correspondingly, the price of petrol at the pump price should go down. Now, if the prices of these same variables are going up, then we should not expect the price of petrol to go down. Now, as we speak, these variables are going up. Dollar was selling yesterday in some places at 1,615 naira to a dollar. Now, you are having 1,500 or thereabout at the official window. So, how does this reflect on the pump price of petrol? Now, these are the conversations that should be on the table. So, Nigerians sees what it is. And then all of us can now collectively, as the people, say, oh, yes, this is the reality. So that even when government is coming here and say, because he who comes to the equity, come with a clean hand. Somebody asked a question, I think it was in the studio some days back, an expert in the energy sector. I said the place is deregulated. Why do you think that people are not investing in it? There's no money there. There's no businessman who want to invest money and not make profits.
Right.
So when we create a window for profit making in that sector and not regard petroleum as a social service, then of course you can see that we will be able to deal with the nuances in the petroleum sector. But until we get to that point where prices are cost reflective, a whole lot of things may not be right.
Right. On to Business Daily in Kenya. 1.5 million idle NSE accounts frozen as IPO drought bites. 97.5% of share trading accounts dormant for 2 years. So,
Yeah,
NSE. So you said that's where the money is at, but we're talking about frozen accounts.
It's sad one there. It means the businesses are not doing well. You know, Kenya too has been in a turmoil for some time right now.
And they said majority of these accounts were opened during the early 2000s. So when I saw this, what came to my mind was ghost workers.
Oh yeah, no, really ghost workers.
The same, you know, where the accounts are just open to lie dormant and they were not even planned to be used in the first place.
No. You look at two things, because this is the capital market you're looking at here. Are people motivated to participate in that market? If people have no savings, for example, windows for investment will be closed. Right. And if we also audit our own market here, you will see that we have almost such a figure, that there are a lot of people who used to participate in the market, but for some reason or paucity of fund, and they are no longer participating. Yeah. So even if you are floating IPOs, you have a challenge. You see recently, when some banks, of course, were doing capitalization, some of them had to even extend the window. You're only extending the window because subscription is not coming as you expected. So because a lot of people don't have confidence in the market. So what government needs to do is really to create that enabling environment where people can have confidence in the market. But the long and short of it is that if economy is not buoyant, people are not having disposable income, and their saving capacity is weak, participation in the capital market will also be very low.
Right. Other headlines on Business Daily from Kenya. Treasury overdraft fees up 87% on higher rates. Bata Kenya rolls out price wars with rivals. Value of Nairobi building approvals up. We're on to Business Day South Africa. Anglo Gold goes after Egypt's #1 mine. So the distance, South Africa, Egypt, and eyeing their #1 mine. It brings to mind how the tale about the West always here for minerals and not commiserate with what they're bringing back, apart from when you talk about petrol and crude.
Yeah, but that's where we talk about capacity from time to time. If you have capacity,
you don't need the outside.
You see, it's a mindset that really we all need to cultivate as business people. What are we looking at in the long run? And you are seeing that your business, for example, you have perfected your act, that the technology that you need, the knowledge that you need, you are able to deploy them to make value out of whatever thing you do. So what you're seeing here is South Africa coming to Egypt for investment. That's commendable. And I think we can't say that enough. The need or the necessity of Africa to deliberately trade together as one continent, one block. And I think that will also help and integrate Africa, as it were. So you're seeing South and North Africa meeting together on the business field. So we want to see that handshake across East Africa, Central Africa, and of course West Africa, so that your brother's word is your word, really, as it were. So if Egypt is benefiting, South Africa is benefiting, indeed Africa population will benefit in the longer run, rather than ship these things to Asia or to Europe, where it has always been.
Correct. ShopRite growth set to continue. That sounds like good news, because they're doing very well in Nigeria, and we're talking about growth spreading. Well, you catch that news, that whole article on page 17. We're still on Business Day South Africa. Africa is emerging as kingmaker. Report card from the forum in China. Are they trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Are they trying to butter us up with such a news? Because everyone knows China is the one doing things across board.
Well, you see, in international arena, every man has a vote. That is what it is. So if we come to the United Nations and we want to vote in the General Assembly, every country has one single vote. So whether you're in China, you're in America, you are Sweden, everybody has just one single vote. Now, if, for example, there's a contestation between Japan and Mexico, for example, they will also campaign for votes. Now, what they call in American elections the swing state.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to focus your energy on the swing state. So this is what we are seeing here.
Oh.
that whoever emerges will have earned the votes of Africa. It's not that they are trying to our ego, boost our ego as it were, but necessarily they're always saying that our vote will count.
Yes. All right. On to Financial Times in the UK. Apple ordered by EU court to pay 13 billion euros in Irish back tax. So the European Court of Justice final ruling in state and disputes. Brussels claim win over big tech. So apparently earlier, in Apple's favor, they made a judge had made what's the word I'm looking for? It had swung in their favor, but this time they're asking them, they contested and they're asking them to pay 13 billion because they suspect that they got a sweet illegal deal from a company.
Yeah, we've already spoken to that a little bit, and that's the way government gets money. You get money.
It seems because where government work, because you can tell that from this headline, it's not easy to find such sweetened deals unless you do a thorough you use like a magnifying glass to do a thorough investigation.
That's what people are saying to you today, that data is king.
You can't hide it.
So a lot of businesses are running on blockchain. And capacity of peer review. Governments are on blockchain also. So they know the business you're doing and they know where your money is coming from.
Right.
Oh yeah. So this is what I was saying, that we as a country must adopt technology to drive some of this process. So that when people give you fictitious account statement, you can challenge them.
Yes.
You can challenge them and say, oh, the figure we have contradicts what you are presenting. And then, of course, you go for arbitration. So this is what we're saying here. In the court, to say, okay, yeah, this is what we have done. It's an infraction. It's an illegality. And then, of course, they've been found wanting. Now, Apple has no alternative but to pay the Irish government that much, 13 billion. That's a whoopee sum.
That's a lot of money, dog. Wow. All right. On to India right now. Tata very close to securing 500 million euros of aid for greener steel at one of their ports, Port Talbot. So India's Tata Group, owners of Jaguar Land Rover, they are ready to release 500 million euros of taxpayers' money to support greener steel making. Now, Tata, they were planning more investments in the UK, which is why they're getting this set gifts per se. They're planning expansions in hotels and stuff outside of London. They're building also a battery plant in Somerset, which will be spending at least $4 billion annually.
But it's just natural in supply chain management, especially when you look at procurement today. One area where public sector really adding value in terms of procurement is they call it supplier development. And I think those are some of the things that we would need to deliberately do to enhance the capacity of your supplier to be able to produce something. So what you are doing is that you are investing in the business of your trusted supplier who has no financial capacity but have the competence to deliver what you want, that will reduce your overhead in the long run. You understand it now? So you are using this computer. You know that, of course, you are requiring this computer from time to time. Every time you go to the open market, you don't get something that's of quality. But you have found out that there's one man who does this very well. So by supply development is that you invest in this one man to be able to produce what you need at the right quality. So that even when there is scarcity in the market, he remains loyal to you. So you have clear visibility of what is available. When your inventory is low, you can see it and you can trust this guy that if it does not exist anywhere, he can't sell to any other person. But see, recently, that's what we are talking about when you talk about the oil swap deal. It's called supplier development.
All right, still on Financial Times UK. This is a here's a funny headline though. Argentines declare their millions under their mattress. Argentines used to keep savings stuffed in mattresses, deposit boxes, or say foreign accounts. They are declaring millions of dollars in tax amnesty. Their president Milei, believes tapping those greenbacks, all the money, can reinvigorate a real economy that's been battered by crisis. You know, Argentina has always been in the news as, I don't know why they still call them third world till now, but this seems to be a good thing. This is a way that they're pulling out all that monies. What's your take on this?
You know, it is also
reminds me of the people
reality
in the village.
In most of the third world, really. You see, some time ago, I did a study for Bank PHP, and not the front Keystone Bank. And it was an advert exposure that I was supposed to do. So I went to the north to conduct that survey. And I was shocked by the outcome of that survey. Because they were thinking of opening up a Sharia window then inside Bank PHP. Because they felt that a lot of people in the north
were not banking.
They prefer to keep their money in-house. And it was when I was doing that research on free interest banking that I found out that real true adherents of the Islamic faith do not have faith in the conventional commercial banks. Even those who were working in the public space don't allow their money to stay overnight in the bank. So once salary is paid, they move it out. And they go and keep it in the house. Because they are afraid that such money could be invested in businesses that are anti-Islam. So they are not very sure. Because in the concept of Islamic banking, before your money is invested, the person who is investing on your behalf should tell you where you want to put that money. So you find that a lot of people keep money under their mattresses.
I thought those things got stopped from back growing up in the village.
Yeah, but this is what you see. Take, for example, if you also look at the environment of conventional banking today, where all that you save, all that you get is deduction. People are tempted to pull money out of
banks,
those places. And that's why you see, really today, almost everybody you see around, all their money goes to the fintech. They are not going right here.
Someone mentioned that to me, actually. Someone in the office here.
So the fintech,
they trust the fintech.
If you ask somebody now, is the fintech telephone is going to give to you. So there are very few people are operating deposit current accounts because of the charges and deductions. So these are disincentive for people to keep money in regular banks. Wow. But here we have a president who is trying to say, well, let's be ingenious in moving out this money from this greenback, as the news call it, because it's really a greenback. And if you have such dollars under your mattresses, and the Argentinian economy has been grinding close to a halt for so long, I think it's just the right thing to do and see how to stimulate that economy and let wealth redistribution happen real time.
I agree. PwC lines up China head. So the firm's leaders have tapped Hermione Hudson, who was a runner-up in that race, to lead PwC this year as fallout mounts from its audit of a collapsed Evergrande. PwC is one of the big, is it the big four now or the big five? And they're lining up a Chinese head.
Yeah, you see, audit will continue to give preeminence
bringing money
as people continue to invent new ways to be crooked.
Right.
Oh yeah, that is what it is. So you have to position the audit company to be able to see some of all these things that are happening at the back door and then figure it out. So auditing is moving just about from checking receipt to also see that performance are being done in terms of all the things that we have agreed to, sustainability debate and the rest of it, to see that the world is doing very well. So audit companies will continue to make money.
That's
like
right.
they say, as the hunters have been shooting without missing, now birds are flying and they don't want to perch.
All right, other headlines in the Financial Times. Can Britannia be cool again under Labour? This is the big read on page 19. How to overcome the middle income. Also, we jump right onto Gulf Times. QCB urges balance.
Yeah, I was really interested in that.
The headline.
Labour's headline. You see, the reason is simple. And I keep saying, you see, there's no way for you to throw away the ladder that carry you up.
Doc, you have started again.
And you think that you can climb down safe.
What if you have wings and want to fly?
I said that. But of course, here, I don't think Labour have wings. It won't take time for this reality to dawn. Honestly, I'm speaking. You see, because how do people get money really? People get money through productivity.
True.
As long as you continue to fund poverty, you remain poor. Write it down.
Doc, what's the way out?
The way out is to fund creativity, innovation, encourage people to be hardworking, and not sit down in one place and say you want to continue to share money for people so that they can stay in their home and do nothing. There's no economy that can grow that way. In the traditional African society, do you see where laziness is not condoned? That's the way only people can eat.
True.
So he who does not work cannot eat. Now, when government start to promise that people don't need to work because they will provide them money to eat, I don't know how that economy will grow.
Is that the case in Nigeria?
That is the case everywhere globally, where government are taking and biting more than they can chew. Because the things that we're supposed to be within the domain of the individual, government is taking them all over. And this is what it is. Take, for example, we're talking about funding education in Nigeria. Now, the question to ask really is that we are building more universities, over 270 universities in Nigeria.
Who's attending?
Training people for where? Would it not have been better if we have just 5 functional universities?
Spread out in the region.
We fund them. Because you also to look at it, that if universities are supposed to be producing managers to supervise people who are working, and you are overproducing managers, who are they going to supervise?
Where's the job?
So this is the question. And this is the question that government needs to answer.
True.
So we must be real and authentic to our people and tell them this is the reality. That the only way to survive, except those who are fiscally challenged, if people are not fiscally challenged people,
I was going to
creative.
say are productive actually.
So these are the things that we must have to embrace as a country. So this promise of liberal democracy can't take anybody anywhere.
Right.
We can only make promises,
we can keep them,
but we cannot keep them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Idahosa, for being on the show. We've come to the end. My name is Hans Mbah. Remember, we take the engagements outside the ring. It's hashtag SBL as we continue these conversations. Stay tuned for early exchange at 8. It's SOUQ News Television. Have a lovely morning.